All right, Travis Ramos back with Modern Bay Company. We do Subaru conversions into vintage Volkswagen buses, as you guys know. And today I'm introducing you to El Dorito. This is the 1974 Volkswagen Westphalia build for the Garcia family. I love this bus and I'm so excited about it because this bus is actually almost a clone of my wife and I, our family's original bus that we drove away from our wedding in 16 years ago. So it throws me back into our early memories with our bus. Seeing this sweet, sweet orange plaid, brilliant orange exterior, everything. So it's gonna be a lot of fun for me personally to get to build this bus and work on it. El Dorito coming off the trailer. All right, so here I am in El Dorito, the 1974 Orange Westphalia for the Garcia family. I'll give you the full tour in a minute, but for now, what we're gonna do is basically the intake video where I go around, highlight things that I see may need to be addressed, and basically provide a snapshot for the bus in time so that before we do the Subaru conversion, you can see exactly what everything looks like. This is actually an automatic, which makes it kind of fun. So here we go. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So a couple things. As soon as I started it, the brake pedal went all the way to the floor. So there's that. We got brakes. We got some brakes. But also when I pulled it out of the driveway a minute ago, the rear brake was pretty stuck. So all things we're going to address as we go. But as you can see here, I'm going to shift into drive. Let's cruise. All right, do this. First impressions driving this guy. It's a putter. It's definitely got the Volkswagen putt, like all of them do, but it's got something a little extra there, probably an exhaust leak. Doesn't really matter for our purposes. That's not anything we need to be worried about. We sell the motors as builders so that they can live on in other buses. But otherwise, you know, it goes. We're going 20 miles an hour here. I don't know when and if we're going to run out of gas because we don't have a whole lot. So there's also that. I only go about a mile away to the site where we do the full video here. So we don't need to go that far, but we'll see how far we make it. I'm confident El Dorito's gonna get us there and back. So here we go. I'm having some trouble here. My ghost clutch pedal, my non-existent clutch pedal, I keep reaching for it because I'm so used to driving manual buses, but you know, this one's an automatic. So it's not there, but the brakes definitely. So we engage the brakes about 2 inches from the floor, which every time I hit them, I'm like, oh, is it gonna stop? So far, every time it does stop, so that's great. All right, we're gonna get up to speed here. We're 20. Oh, is it gonna shift? Hey, we got it shifted. All right, 25. We're getting up. Now we're 30. All right, I'm liking this. I'm liking this automatic here. We've got some sounds coming from the rear suspension. I'll check all that out. Like I said, one of the rear brakes is locked up when we went to pull it out. So we're gonna go through the brakes regardless. We've got the interior. Really, I love it's complete. It's got the original plaid. It's a little worse for wear, so is mine on our old bus. But overall, it's great. And a couple things I want to point out here. So put this back over there, sunshades up. So this is honestly a pretty big no-no. This is not a terrible job on an access, cutting out for an access panel, but there's no actual access panel covering this up, which means if there are gas fumes, they can come and either soak your cushion at the very least, or actually get into the cabin here, and you do not want that. So one of the things we always do as a part of the whole Subaru conversion, we actually remove the tank. Usually we replace both the filler elbows on the tank, actually we always do, and then we take a look at the tank and see what shape it's in. If it's an early tank like this, we'll weld on the correct return line, bung for a return line for the fuel system, if the tank is in good shape. If it's not, we'll just replace the tank with the later model tank that already has the inlet and the outlet on there. So, but we'll also cover up that guy. All right, moving right along. We're gonna open the engine bay here. And here's what we've got. So this is a tired Type 4 motor. It's got the center mount Weber progressive carb on it. Not a fan of these, especially if you're in a cold weather situation, but also not a fan in general. This is the before of the motor. And of course we'll do an after as well, and you can see the difference. Then if we go underneath, we've got our standard Volkswagen market spot there. All right, quick shot from underneath. And then up under here, these are those AC lines. We're getting rid of those. Putting some heat lines going to the front, but they're on the other side. And then this guy right here, the center tube for the heat originally all gets removed because the radiator is going right up under here. Another thing I'm noticing is this kind of hanging down, spliced together vacuum hose for the brake booster connection, which continues up over here. We'll get that going in the correct manner. Obviously shouldn't be hanging down by the axle there or anything like that, so we'll address that as we go. On the cross member here, like most of them, it's been kind of punched up at one point, so we'll do what we can to straighten that. We do need to clearance a little bit on the inside of here for where our cooling pipes go, and then running the heater pipes or heater hoses up along this branch, along that stock wiring branch there. Something that's amazing I see on this bus, these front shocks are the Koni shocks. Those guys are gorgeous. I may still replace the hardware on them, on those guys for the Garcias, but I'm also seeing new ball joints. Bazow, look at that, gorgeous. New tie rods, tie rod ends, beautiful. If we look over here, also seeing those new ball joints, tie rod ends. So that's one thing we won't have to worry about. It's been done so far. That is excellent. The brakes got some problems. When I hit the brakes, I think one of these calipers is maybe loose a little bit because I feel that slack. It's really unnerving kind of slack when you hit the brakes. And so I know the rear brakes, at least one was locked up, and the front brakes, well, I like the look of that caliper. And even though this one's rusty, that means it has been replaced relatively recently. They just tend to rust really fast like that, the cheaper new ones. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Probably recommend redoing that once we get the wheels off and take a look at it, but we'll make sure it's done right one way or another. And then the booster has been replaced, so that's excellent. The master's not looking so great, but again, we'll take a closer look once we get in there. Good things I'm seeing here, new center link. Some people call it a drag link, so that's great. We've got that new booster. I'll make sure everything is routed correctly on that, but that's looking pretty good. The damper over here, it is looking like the original one, so I'll replace that damper. And then the throttle cable assembly, this is kind of the OG style. I replace all those with the Buddies bits, newer style, and our whole new throttle cable assembly. So that'll be done. And oh my Lord, guys. Oh, the last bus I looked at, I said, this is the worst rag joint I've ever seen, but I take it back because I don't even want to drive home with this guy. Look at that rag joint. The steering coupler right here. This is insane. I don't even know how it's still together. Rolando, you win the prize, and I will do this for free because this is crazy. And I'm just glad everyone who has driven this bus is still alive after looking at that. Wow. Word of the wise, if you're out there, you have a bus, take a look at this. Make sure you're not going to die by driving your bus and forgetting to replace that. We've got some weird stuff like this, so we'll get rid of that as we go. It's going to get new e-brake cables like they all do in the process of doing this. And the heater is actually going to go right here. There is no splash pan on this guy, so and I've got extras, so we'll put a splash pan on it when we're all done so the heat works, well, just, I mean, because it needs it, but also helps the heat work a little bit better on this guy. All right, the bumpers, we'll replace these with the proper hardware. This is not the proper hardware, and then the little cups on it. Same on this guy. Almost forgot, just to document, there's a little bit of rust bubbling underneath this guy, but nothing right now to worry about, but something to keep an eye on in the future. So he's got a new set of door panels, the brilliant orange panels. So we're gonna see if we can put those guys on for him. Probably lube up the window. We'll definitely lube up the lock mechanisms and all that, make sure that's working great. Maybe even do a bit of rust mitigation inside the doors to make sure that's good to go for a long time to come. We got the Friday night lights, kick panels. Rolando and I chuckled about these a little bit, but I've got new kick panels, so if he wants me to put those in, I can. And then just looking here, for example, at the floor, you can tell there's a touch of accident damage there. But for a driver, for something they're just going to enjoy and have fun with, no big deal. Wiring like this, stuff like this, anything we see like that, we always clean up. You can also see this repair right here. Again, every bus has its stuff, this one included, and it doesn't affect it in any functional way at all. We can install a new glove box if you guys want us to. This one, you know, it works. I really like seeing what's up under here. So yes, to many, this may look like a cobbled mess, but really, it's not too terrible based on some of the things I've seen. So we'll clean up the wiring, make it all nice and tidy up in there. And again, of course, you know, wires like this, that may just be kind of hanging out. We'll address those guys. No problem at all. Seat belts, don't love seeing that right there. So we've got this bolt that's just kind of hanging out, less than safe. So I actually carry and stock full 3-point retractable seat belts for the front and the rear. So Rolando, if you guys want us to do that, I can. Again, these are only lat belts. They should be 3-point belts connected up there like that. So how this is kind of up off of here and just sort of sitting there, we'll address that, no problem at all. The ultra gauge, which we use, is going to sit right up here. So I actually have to take this off anyway. So it's really not a big deal to attach that correctly. So we'll get the correct grommet, correct seal for that guy to hold it in place. We'll take a look at this whole mechanism, make sure everything is lining up, it's firmly in place. Well, of course, we'll grease everything. And then if you come back here and take a look here, you can see this is a bit mangled. So we'll take this panel off and we're going to completely redo this assembly here. And especially, I don't know if you can look up under here, but this needs some love. So the sliding block is completely toast, so we'll replace that guy. This is falling, all but, you know, falling out here, if you look at that. So all standard stuff, I see it on almost every bus, but we'll take a look at all this and replace it. The other thing we look at, the slider tracks. So I've had it the case where sometimes these have been replaced and the door just won't adjust properly. This one looks fine. We'll grease this up, we'll adjust these guys and get this door working perfectly again. That's that on this wonderful bus, and I'm super excited to get this guy out and to get the Subaru motor in.